The story opens beneath the burning sun of Silver Creek, New Mexico territory. 1882. The town's white chapel gleams against the desert dust, and inside, the wedding of the year is meant to bind power to wealth. Eleanor Nora Hayes, a young woman of gentle manners but quiet rebellion, stands in lace and silk, holding a bouquet that feels like chains. Her groom, Mr. Whitmore, is not a man of affection. He's a railroad baron, old enough to be her father and cold enough to crush steel in his grasp. The marriage isn't love, it's debt, her father's desperate gamble to save the family farm. But Nora has fire in her heart. She's watched her dreams wither under men's bargains long enough. When the priest asks if she takes this man, she hesitates, then drops the bouquet and runs. The gasp of the guests follows her through the chapel doors, down the dusty street and into the open desert. The sun burns her skin. Her gown tears on the thorn bushes, but she doesn't stop. By nightfall, her horse collapses. The silence of the desert is broken only by her heartbeat and the whisper of the wind through sagebrush. When she falls, the world spins into darkness. The rancher appears. The next morning, Jacob Thorne rides the borders of his vast ranch, Thorne Mesa, checking on his herds. Once a celebrated Civil War captain turned millionaire rancher, Jacob has known both fortune and loneliness. His wife died years ago, and he buried his son before the boy's 10th birthday. The land is his world now, harsh, honest, and mercilessly quiet. When he finds Nora lying unconscious near his water trough, her wedding gown torn, he first mistakes her for a mirage, a ghost in white. But when he lifts her head, the heat on her skin and the pulse in her wrist prove otherwise. He carries her gently into his cabin and waits for her to wake. When she does, she's terrified and expecting scorn or worse. But Jacob, calm and weary-eyed, simply says, "You don't look like trouble. You look like you've had enough of it. I can offer you shelter. No questions. No debts." That moment, a simple act of mercy, sets their fates on the same path. As the night deepens, the camera would pull back to show a small cabin flickering with lamplight amid the endless expanse of desert stars. Inside, two broken souls share the quiet of survival, strangers bound by the same desire for peace. At dawn, Thorne Mesa comes alive with the hum of ranch life, cattle bellowing, horses snorting, the clang of iron against wood. Nora wakes to find a clean blanket over her and a plate of biscuits on the table. She insists on working for her keep. Jacob warns her that ranch work isn't gentle, but she only answers, "Neither was marriage." Over the next weeks, Nora trades her silk gown for denim and dust. She learns to ride, mend fences, and gather eggs. Her hands blister, her skin burns, her spirit grows strong. The workers, mostly old cowhands who've seen 100 stories come and go, watch her with curiosity and respect. Jacob keeps his distance, watching her rebuild herself brick by brick. He sees courage where others might see fragility. He never asks about her past, though he suspects it's close behind her. At night, when storms roll across the mesa, they share quiet moments over coffee by the fire. Nora tells him about her mother, a piano teacher who used to say every soul has its own song. Jacob listens, his expression unreadable, but when she finishes, he says softly, "Maybe this place is where yours can be heard again." There's warmth between them, slow, respectful, unspoken, but danger is coming. One afternoon, the telegraph in town clatters with a message, a reward for the capture and return of Eleanor Whitmore, runaway bride. The message spreads faster than wildfire. By sunset, Jacob's foreman rides back to warn him. The tycoon's men are searching every ranch in the county. The path Nora fled is catching up, and Jacob Thorne stands squarely in its path. That night, thunder gathers over the mesa like a dark omen. Two riders approach under the storm, lightning flashing against their slickers. They carry the smell of money and menace. Their leader calls out, "We're looking for a woman, a runaway wife." "The law's on our side." Jacob steps onto the porch, his rifle cradled casually in one arm. "Ain't seen anyone but the wind," he says. His calm voice hides the tension coiled inside. When they push past the gate, the storm explodes, rain lashing, wind howling. Shots ring out. Horses rear. In the chaos, Nora sees Jacob take a bullet in the shoulder. She grabs his revolver from the table and fires into the air, startling the men's horses enough for them to retreat into the storm. When the thunder finally fades, Jacob lies bleeding on the porch. Nora tears strips from her dress to stop the wound. He mutters through gritted teeth. Guess that shelter I promised ain't just a roof anymore. They survive the night, but the ranch is battered. Fences broken, livestock scattered. Together they rebuild in the days that follow. Both wounded, both changed. Nora's fear transforms into strength. Jacob's solitude becomes something else, hope. Yet Nora knows the fight isn't over. The tycoon won't stop. If she stays, she risks the man who gave her peace. So one dawn she leaves him a note. You gave me shelter. Now I'll keep you safe the only way I can. By going. But Jacob is not a man who lets fear decide his life anymore. He follows. Nora rides into Silver Creek, intending to surrender herself to stop the bloodshed. She finds the marshal waiting. And behind him, Mr. Whitmore, her husband, his face twisted with pride and fury. Jacob arrives moments later, still bandaged but unbroken. The town square falls silent as the three confront one another. Whitmore waves a legal document. She is my wife and she is coming with me. Jacob steps between them. No, she isn't, not unless she chooses to. Nora lifts her chin, voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. You can't own a person. Not with gold, not with paper. I was never yours, I'm only sold to you. Whitmore laughs coldly, accusing Jacob of theft. But the marshal hesitates. Something in Jacob's eyes, something in Nora's voice stirs doubt in him. Then Nora removes her wedding ring, the symbol of her captivity, and throws it into the dust. Take it, she says. It's all you ever wanted from me. The marshal finally lowers his gun. She's free, he declares quietly. No law in this territory holds a soul against its will. Whitmore sputters and curses, but he's beaten, not by force, but by courage. As his carriage rolls away, Nora stands trembling but radiant in the sunlight. Jacob places his hat over his heart, saying softly, You fought braver than most soldiers I've known. Months pass. The seasons turn. Life at Thorn Mesa Ranch returns to rhythm. But it's different now. Laughter echoes in the kitchen again. Nora plants wildflowers along the fence line, and Jacob restores the old piano she thought had long been lost. Their partnership is no longer about protection, it's about building. She helps manage accounts. He teaches her to ride the outer ranges. Together they expand the ranch into something thriving and peaceful. One evening they sit on the porch watching the sun set fire to the horizon. Nora turns to Jacob and says quietly, You gave me shelter when I had nothing. He smiles, eyes soft beneath the brim of his hat. You gave this house a reason to stand. They don't need vows or papers. Just two hands finding each other, weathered by work, but warm with promise. The story ends with a traveling peddler passing through Silver Creek, asking an old townsman, Who lives up there on Thorn Mesa? The man chuckles. A woman who ran from chains, and a man who gave her freedom. They say she found a home, and he found his heart again. The camera pans to the ranch at sunset, golden lights spilling across the land, smoke curling from the chimney, a sign that reads simply, Thorn Mesa, built by two.